Good morning, everybody. It's time to fix Betty. It's early. Always wanting something. Either she's wanting something, they wanting something. Anyway, it's early in the morning. My grandpa's 96 years old, and he says the key to living a long life is have something planned every morning and get up and do it. So, let's fix Betty. I got the parts in the house. Let me get some things in order, get y'all set up, and get after it. Alright, I don't know how that light's doing. The sun's shining in my face. Let's get this, first thing we need to do is get this drive shaft out. Get it dropped out of the way. Y'all like my little air ratchet? He's a handy sucker, especially on cars. Not so much on forklifts, but on cars. Okay. I'll tie that up out of the way. Let's see. We're going to just pop the pinion through. We're going to just change out the ring and pinion. We're not going to mess with anything because it worked fine for 2 years the way it was. If I wanted to throw it in reverse, it would be fine. So. Alright, the pinion's unbolted. You gotta be careful with these pinions because they're sharp. They're especially sharp if they're old. This light sucks, don't it? Okay. Look at that. Bearings look brand new. Alright. Now. There's a shim there. Get all my shims out, maybe get some better light. Alright, we got the pinion out. There's where he was damaged. These are your shims for your preload. See this stack in here? You got this bearing up against the race. You got another bearing that the pinion pushes up against these shims. So your bearings will be sandwiched here by the pinion inside the housing. This is your preload for the bearings. You look at what inch pounds this is supposed to turn, and you remove or install more shims until you get it at the right preload, which means take it out, add one of the small ones, take one of the small ones out. If you start off where you were with your stock one, like I said before, you'll be close. Now this is for a high pinion. Low pinion's got a crush sleeve, which you do like the rear end, or you can convert them to this style too. I was going to tell y'all the reason I've always said about when you're doing a ring and pinion, you can just start out with the same shims. Is for years when we were mud racing. I mean, I mud raced from the time, I was probably 17, 18 years old, and we were running in 8 seconds, 9 second range and 200 feet. And when I quit, we were running in the 2 9s and the 2 8s and 200 feet. The way I figured, I did gears every weekend because we changed them from a 589 gear ratio down to a 456 and different tracks because every track wasn't exactly 200 foot long. But that's when I realized that if you set the gears up for the housing it's in, it's nothing. You just swap them out. Hell, I never even checked them in the truck. After about a few years of doing it, hell, I could stick them in there and I knew right what it took shim wise, and usually it was already together like this. You just stick it all in there and let it rip. That's how I learned all that stuff. I didn't learn it in school or for training or anything like that. I learned it doing it because I changed gears in a Dana 60 and a Dana 44. I had to be 500 times within 10-12 years. The horse is chewing on the freaking window. These things are a pain in the butt sometimes, these horses. You turn me into a straight up farmer. She's done messed my window. Look at this. What is wrong with you, man? Go play. Go roll around or something. I'm trying to do something here. You're crazy. Anyway, after years of doing it that way, you learn, you know, that it ain't rocket science. Because that truck had a 632 in it in the end. It had over 1,000 horsepower, and we ran Dana 60 in the front, Dana 44 high pinion, or Dana 60 in the rear with Dana 70 axles, and a Dana 44 high pinion in the front. Two-speed power glide, and a chain-driven transfer case. I'd like to buy that truck off my uncle and do some things with it. See, your beveled ends on the gear go around the gear to clamp it. See? Yep. Old, new. Alright. You're unreal, man. What's going on with me? Alright. There's our new gear. There's that one. Now, put the shims back where they go. Now I'm going to strip the ring gear off the carrier. Everybody knows how to do that. Bolt it back on, torque it down. We're going to stick the pinion in there, set our preload on the bearing, and put it all back together. I'm ready to go ride. Make some trail riding videos. Alright, let me get some things done. I'll bring y'all back when we're, yeah. Alrighty, that's all it is to that. Alright, on this new gear, I'm going to right off the bat remove about, I'd say that's about 10 thousandths. Put one back because these bearings have already been run in, so you want to set it up. Let's remove more than that. If we're too tight, we'll put it back. But we removed to like 5,000 shims, so that's about 10 thousandths. But these bearings were already ran in, so you need to preload them again when you put it back, you know, make them tight again. So that's what we're going to do. Alright, we got it back in. Let's tighten it up, see what we got. Perfect. Alright, that's perfect. Alright, fellas, we got it back in there. I'm going to torque the caps, the bolts down on this and stick it back in there and see what backlash we got, and then we'll go from there. Check everything. If everything's good, then I put so many diffs in that mud truck and different cars and trucks over the years, I can almost tell by the feel of it if it's right. Now, we don't have any fancy yellow paint, so I'm going to use this. I could use grease. I could do it with grease, but you wouldn't see what I was doing. So we're going to do it like this. Just a little bit. Same difference. Paint's paint. It ain't thick enough. Alright, let's do it like this then. Make a good mess. See a problem. I should have checked. This ain't good, boys. That's how it goes though. Think it's gonna be quick, easy, fun, fast, in a hurry. And you run into freaking issues. I knew something was screwy about this thing. It just didn't seem right. It should be closer than what it is. Well, it's changing as it goes around, which means something is not right. Well, boys, it ain't good. It did more damage than I thought it did. We got the dial indicator on the back side of the gear reading the run out of that carrier. It gets loose right here, coming around, coming around. It gets tight right there, it won't turn. Bent the carrier somehow. How the hell you bend cast iron, I don't know, but we did it. Yep. Well, that shit sucks. Don't look like we're gonna be going trail riding. Let me pull it down and make sure I ain't got something behind this bearing or behind that bearing, because it is kind of still dirty. And I'll pull it back down and see what we got. That's why my readings are so far off though, and I got 12,000, 15,000 backlash. Then I turned a little bit more and it had 8, and then 5 did nothing. So this gear is walking back and forth, which means it tweaked that carrier. Alright, let me pull it all back apart and see what we got. Well, fellas, not good news. Not good news at all. We got the dial indicator, got the gear off, got the dial indicator on the face of that to test. And you can see we got about, now, trying to turn it and hold the camera at the same time. What was that? Would that hit about 30? That's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 60 thousandths. It bent it. Now, shit, I'm sorry, I'm trying to, it went over to here and it's sweeping back, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 60 thousandths it bent it. You know what overconfidence gets you? Gets you in trouble. Let me see if I can do this with one hand without losing stuff. I might turn it on to get you ready. Let's see here. Ready? don't think that's gonna work. So, there's a weak point in it. That's why the gear broke. It bent that over. And then that's why the pinion looks the way it does. And this is what I said I would do when we would figure out when it broke, why it broke, how it broke, and try to upgrade it to where it works. That's why the pinion looks like it does. The gear moved away from it. It's bent all the way around right there. That don't forget, you got little, with these lunchbox lockers, you got little pinholes that you got to push your little locking pins that would have came with your kit. Don't forget you got those, because if you take this thing out of here, it's going to go, it's going to shoot shit everywhere. Okay, I use straws, like you spray can straws. I got a bunch of them. I save them. Tedious little things to get in there, but I'll make sure this ain't damaged too. We didn't have that trail ride next weekend, and it's so close to me, so close to time to go already. I probably would change this carrier to a different style, but I'm going to have to replace it with this style right now. Hey, this little lunchbox didn't break though. Don't look like it did anyway. We'll find out in a minute if it did or not. These things are tricky to get in and out. You can do it. Alright, I got the bearings stripped off of it. Luckily, they came right off. Didn't have to destroy them. I kept getting the edge of that tool underneath between the shims and stuff and just tightening it and tapping it, and it worked them right off. So now, let's see what we can do with this thing before we order another one. Maybe we can cobble something together here. I got a friggin' lathe. I mean, why not? Alright, let me see what we can do here. Alright fellas, on the register there, to where the gear registers on the center of the carrier, about 6 thousandths, which ain't bad on that part. About 6-7 thousandths. But I'm going to set it up on the face this way. We'll read that. Now we're reading where the gear rides against it. About 30 thousandths. Now let's go out here to the end, and I think it's fine here. It bent out here. It bent this part, which makes sense because it's open. Let's get it out here and see what we got there. Okay, this is gonna be off the chart most likely. Yeah. Let's see here. Alright fellas, it's the next day. We got a new carrier ordered. We're going to go back with this carrier like the factory one for now, until if it breaks again, that'll be proof that this is our weak link. We can't really go by what happened because I threw it in reverse. So we're going to put this back in there with a new one, a new Yukon unit. I'm going to clean all this up, get the pinion set up in there, get it all ready to go, so when the parts comes in Monday I can just stick it all back together and we can go wheeling. I've showed how to set backlash. I showed you this video how to set your pinion preload. All this stuff moves. You can move that ring gear back. You can move the ring gear this way, that way with shims. Always remember you can move the pinion in and out too if your cutting pattern's wrong. But I'm going to get under here and check. We'll make sure we got no more surprises, like it didn't spread the yoke too. I think y'all can see that. Let's make sure we ain't got no issues with the yoke. Tell you a tip here: when you're putting the drive shaft in the front or the rear, any of that spots, always make sure that where these caps set is clean. And your little tits here on the side are there. You want to clean this with a wire brush, spray brake cleaner on it, clean it real good. You want this clean, you want the U-joints clean. That way when you slip it in there, it's like a machine fit. And you want it to be that way. That's how them little tiny bolts can hold that in there. This thing's suction cupped. In there, make sure it's still good tight fit. Yeah, we're good. Shouldn't have any back and forth play. And when you snap that thing in there, it should be in there like it is. That is the only way these little cat bolts can hold that thing. That's a machine fit. So our pinion's good. We're going to leave the pinion how it is. I'm going to take that nut back off, clean the threads up good. I'm sorry guys, it's pretty chilly here today in Florida. It's about 38. We'll clean that nut up real good and tighten it back up, torque it down, clean the case, and then when I get the new carrier I can just slap it all together. and get it ready, and I'll see y'all on the trail ride video. And that's what we're gonna do. I'll get under here and tack that in a couple places, just where it'll stay, and I can cut it off easy. But that should be the end of the shenanigans with the broke ring gear. I will not put it in reverse again and be drag racing. But we found the first weak link, the carrier. So what we're going to do is, if it happens to break again, I'll rebuild it again with a different carrier. But I hate to throw away my lunchbox locker, and there's nothing wrong with any of that, all over a mistake I made, and write this off over a mistake I made. So we're going to put it all back, and under normal operating circumstances, see if we break it again. And if we do, we do. I'll fix it. And anyway, I guess that's the end of this video. When I get the carrier, I'll get that put in there, get everything cleaned up, sealed up, back together, and I'll see y'all on the trail ride video. It'll be coming up next weekend. Alright guys, later. Y'all take it easy. Bye.